The Lost Ones. Part 1. Into the Woods. I still remember the first night. The air smelled like rain and pine. The forest was endless, green, dark, and alive. We thought it was just another adventure. There were 5 of us. Me, Jason, Claire, Miguel, and Hannah. Old friends. Too curious for our own good. Jason was the one who found the map. He claimed it came from his grandfather, a veteran who once worked in forestry. The paper was yellowed, torn at the edges. At the center, marked in red ink, was a name, Black Hollow Forest. Below it, a note scribbled faintly, "Don't stay after." Sundown. We laughed when we saw it. Every horror story starts with a warning, and every fool ignores it. We were no exception. The trip took 2 days by car. By the third, the paved roads ended. We parked near an old ranger station, half swallowed by moss and vines. The sign out front read, "Restricted area, no entry beyond this point." Jason grinned. Perfect. That was the last time we laughed freely. The forest welcomed us quietly. Birdsong faded as we stepped deeper in. The trees grew taller, their branches weaving a ceiling of shadows. Claire carried the camera. She wanted to document everything. Miguel joked it would make a great documentary. We didn't know it would be evidence instead. By noon, the path had vanished. The map didn't match the terrain. The compass spun slowly, as if unsure which way was real. Still, we pressed on. The deeper we went, the thicker the air became. Not just humid, but heavy, like breathing through fog made of whispers. Leaves rustled though there was no wind. Sometimes it sounded like footsteps. Behind us, beside us, never ahead. We reached a clearing before sunset. A ring of stones circled the ground. At the center, an old fire pit. Cold, filled with ash. "Someone's been here," Hannah said. Jason shrugged. "Campers, maybe." But the stones were carved, with symbols no one recognized. They looked ancient. Sharp lines, looping curves. Miguel took a photo. The flash made us all flinch. Night came faster than it should have. The sky dimmed like someone turned a dial. We set up camp, a single fire flickering between us. Jason hummed softly as he cooked. Claire filmed the flames. Miguel stared into the dark, his eyes distant. I remember asking him, "What's wrong?" He said quietly, "Do you hear that?" We listened. The forest was silent, completely. Not even insects, just the crackle of fire. Then a sound, faint, far away, like something dragging. Across wood, Jason laughed nervously. Probably an animal. But it came again. Closer. Claire pointed her flashlight toward the trees. The beam trembled. Nothing moved, but the forest was breathing. That's the only way I can describe it. The air pulsed in and out, soft and rhythmic, like lungs buried beneath the soil. We sat in silence for a long time. No one wanted to admit we felt it. When the fire burned low, we turned in for the night. I didn't sleep much. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard it, that soft drag, circling the tents. Leaves rustled. A twig snapped. I held my breath. The sound stopped right outside my tent. I waited. Seconds stretched like hours. Then a whisper, so close it brushed my ear. "Don't stay after sundown." My blood froze. I unzipped the tent slowly. The fire was out. The world outside was pitch black. "Jason," I whispered. No answer. "Claire." Only the forest replied. I stepped out. The air was colder than before. Mist clung to the ground. Shapes moved between the trees. Not people, not animals. Something else. Watching. I grabbed the flashlight. It flickered, then died. I shook it. The light sputtered. Once revealing nothing. Just empty woods. Too empty. Even the ash circle was gone. Only dirt. Then, from behind me, a voice. Jason's voice. "Hey, where'd everyone go?" I turned, relief flooding through me. He stood near the tree-line, lantern in hand, but his face was wrong. His eyes were open too wide. His smile was stretched too long. The lantern's light didn't touch him. It bent around him. "Jason," I whispered. He tilted his head. "Come closer." The voice was his, but hollow. I stepped back. He stepped forward. Each movement made the shadows ripple. The forest seemed to lean in, watching. Then the lantern went out. Darkness swallowed everything. I ran. Branches tore my arms. I didn't stop until I tripped over the tent rope. Hannah screamed. The others woke in chaos. What the hell happened? Miguel shouted. I pointed into the dark. Jason, he's... But when we turned, he was gone. Only the forest remained. Quiet. Still. Waiting. Part 2, The Vanishing. We shouted his name until our voices cracked. Jason. Jason. Nothing. Only the echo bouncing between the trees. Miguel grabbed the flashlight. Its beam cut through the mist. Like a blade. No footprints. No sound of movement. He can't be far, Claire said. Her voice shook, but she tried to sound sure. Maybe he wandered off. Wandered where? Hannah snapped. There's nowhere to go. The fire was out. The ashes were cold. I checked my watch. Only midnight. But the air felt like hours before dawn. We argued quietly, trying not to raise our voices. Every sound seemed too loud here, even our breathing. Let's wait until morning, I said. Miguel nodded reluctantly. No one wanted to admit it, but none of us wanted to walk into that dark again. We sat in a circle, the flashlights resting between us. Their glow flickered weakly, as if something unseen was draining them. The forest whispered. Not wind, words. Faint, scattered, coming from everywhere at once. Sometimes they sounded like Jason. Hannah covered her ears. Stop it, she said. Please stop. But it didn't stop. The whispers turned into laughter. Low, mocking, familiar. Miguel stood suddenly. Jason, this isn't funny. The forest laughed louder. Then it stopped. All at once. The silence was so sharp it hurt. Even the night seemed to hold its breath. And then the smell hit us. Wet earth mixed with something metallic. Like old blood. Claire gagged. Something's dead, she whispered. We followed the smell, each step heavier than the last. The beam of light fell on something near the tree-line. A shoe. Jason's shoe. Half buried in the mud. Hannah picked it up with shaking hands. Jason. Her voice cracked like dry wood. No answer. We searched for hours. No footprints. No trail. Only the trees, endless, watching. By dawn, we were exhausted. The forest was still dark. The sun never fully reached this place. It was like the light refused to enter. We packed up quickly, barely speaking. Every rustle, every shadow, made us jump. Miguel led the way, checking the map again. He frowned. The compass isn't working, he said. The needle spun wildly. Claire checked her GPS. No signal, only static. It's fine, I said, though it wasn't. We followed what we thought was the trail. But after an hour, we were back at the clearing. The ashes were still there. The circle of stones. Only this time, there were 5 tents instead of 4. My stomach dropped. We only brought 4. Whose is that? Hannah whispered. No one answered. Miguel approached it slowly. The tent was old, covered in moss. He reached for the zipper. Wait, I said. Don't. He pulled it open. Inside was a sleeping bag, and something inside the bag. Something moving. He lifted the flap. We all froze. A camera. Jason's camera. The screen flickered to life. Battery nearly dead. The last video played. Automatically. Jason's face appeared. He was laughing at first. The camera shook. Guys, you won't believe this, he said. His voice was distant, hollow. He turned the lens. The forest glowed. Faintly gold in the dark. Something moved between the trees. Shadows shaped like people. Who are they? Jason whispered. The camera zoomed in. The figures turned. Their eyes caught the light. Blank, white, endless. The video ended. No sound. No static. Just black. We stared at the screen. No one spoke. Then the camera turned itself back on. The lens pointed at us. Click. It took a photo. Flash. Blinding. We screamed and dropped it. When the light faded, the 5th tent was gone. Only mud remained. Miguel was shaking. This isn't possible. Claire's hands trembled. She whispered, we need to leave. We ran. No plan. No direction. Branches tore at our faces. The forest closed behind us like a mouth. After what felt like hours, we stopped. The path had split. Into 2. One side darker, the other glowing faintly. Which way? Hannah gasped. Miguel looked at the glow. It's light, he said. It has to lead out. We followed him. The glow grew brighter. It shimmered through the fog. painting our faces gold. And then we saw it. Another clearing, another ring of stones, another fire pit, identical to the first. We were back. Again. Claire dropped to her knees. "This can't be happening," she whispered. The forest laughed again, this time louder, mocking, alive. We huddled together, trying to breathe. The laughter faded into whispers again. They circled us like smoke. "Jason," they said, over and over. "Jason," each voice slightly different. Then a new voice joined. Mine, whispering with them, calling his name. I clamped my hands over my mouth. The whisper didn't stop. It came from behind me, from the trees. Miguel shone the flashlight that way. And there he was, Jason, standing at the edge of the clearing. He looked the same, almost, except for the eyes. Empty, reflective, like water catching the moonlight. "Jason!" Hannah ran toward him. We shouted after her, too late. She reached him. He smiled. Then they both vanished. No scream, no sound, just gone. The ground beneath us shuddered. The ashes burst into flame. The stones glowed faintly red. The trees leaned closer. We ran again. The forest moved around us. Every path led back to the same place, the clearing, until finally the fire went out. The forest was silent again, and there were only 3 of us left. Part 3, the forest changes. When Hannah vanished, the forest fell silent again. Not a single bird, not a single breath of wind. It was as if the world had paused, watching, waiting for what we'd do. Next, Claire was shaking. Her camera dangled from her neck, lens cracked. Miguel just stared into the dark. He whispered, "She was right there." I wanted to run, but where? Every direction looked the same. Every tree was identical. The path we came from no longer existed. "We keep moving," I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. Toward the sound of water. Rivers lead out. No one argued. We walked for hours. The forest changed as we moved. The trees grew taller, denser, their bark covered in strange, spiraling symbols. Claire stopped suddenly. "Wait, do you see that?" Ahead, between the trees, hung something from the branches. A body. Oh, it used to be one. Wrapped in vines, dried, face frozen in a scream. Miguel backed away. His voice cracked. "Jason?" The thing's head tilted, creaking like old wood. Its mouth opened, and the whisper returned. "Don't stay after sundown." Claire screamed. The camera flashed. When the light faded, the body was gone. Only vines swayed gently in the air. We ran again, branches toward our arms. The deeper we went, the colder it got. The sun never moved. It stayed fixed behind the clouds. We lost track of time. An hour? A day? It all blurred together. The forest didn't follow human hours anymore. At some point, Miguel stopped. He knelt, touching the dirt. Footprints, he whispered. Small, bare, child-sized. We followed them. They led to a clearing we hadn't seen before. In the center stood a cabin, ancient, half buried in roots. Smoke curled from its chimney. It smelled like burnt pine and ash. Claire looked at me, eyes wide. We're not alone. We approached slowly. The door creaked open before we touched it. Inside, shadows, dust, and toys. Wooden dolls lined the shelves. Each one wore the same face, blank carved, eyes painted black. And in the corner, a small table with 5 chairs. 5, our number when we started. Miguel's hand trembled as he picked one up. It was carved with his initials. "Someone's been watching us," he whispered. I didn't answer, because I'd already seen mine, lying on the table, smiling. The air grew colder. The dolls began to rattle. A voice whispered from the rafters. "You shouldn't have come." We bolted out of the cabin. The door slammed shut behind us. The trees groaned, bending toward the ground. The forest moved. Roots twisted like serpents. The ground cracked. We ran toward what we thought was the river. But the river was gone. In its place, a wall of trees forming a circle. Inside, a hollow filled with fog. "We've been here before." The clearing, Claire gasped. Her voice broke. "How are we back again?" Miguel dropped to his knees, clutching his head. "It's looping. It's all looping." The forest shifted around us. The trees moved when we didn't look. Paths opened and closed like breathing lungs. The air pulsed. Alive. I realized then, the forest wasn't a place. It was a thing, a living, thinking thing, and we were trapped inside it. Claire grabbed my arm. We need to mark our trail. She carved an X into it, a tree trunk. The bark bled gold. She stared at it, horrified. The sap dripped slowly, glowing. It hissed when it hit the ground. "Run," I whispered. We didn't stop. Not when the trees screamed. Not when the ground shook. Not when the fog turned red. The forest was changing faster now. Every time we blinked, something moved. A tree closer, a shadow taller. We burst into another clearing. Dead silence. A single tree stood in the middle, its bark smooth and pale. Hanging from it, our backpacks. All of them, even Jason's. Each bag zipped shut, clean, untouched. Claire reached for hers. "Don't," Miguel said, but she already had it in her hands. The zipper slid open on its own. Inside was the camera, playing a video we hadn't recorded. It showed us, sleeping in our tents, and something moving between them. A shape long and thin, its head almost touching the ground. It crawled slowly toward each tent. Pausing, listening, Claire dropped the bag. The video kept playing louder. The whisper filled the air again. "Stay." The tree behind us cracked. Something was inside it, pushing. A hand broke through the bark. Then another. Miguel screamed. I pulled Claire back as the tree split open. Jason stepped out, smiling. His eyes glowed gold. His voice was wrong. "Why are you running?" he asked. "This place loves you." We stumbled backward. The forest closed behind him, sealing him in shadow. Everywhere I looked, faces appeared in the bark. Eyes, mouths, silent screams. Miguel grabbed my shoulder. "We're not leaving this time," he said. "Not until we end it." He sounded like he believed it. But the forest laughed again. Low, deep, all around us. And then it whispered, not to him, but to me, "You will." The ground caved beneath us. We fell through darkness, tumbling into cold air and mud. When I opened my eyes, only Claire was beside me. Miguel was gone. The forest above us had vanished. We were underground, in a tunnel carved from roots and bones. Light pulsed faintly from the walls. Every beat matched my heart. Claire whispered, "What is this place?" I didn't answer, because I already knew. It wasn't a tunnel. It was a vein, and we were inside the forest body. Part 4, the heart beneath. The tunnel breathed. That was the first thing I noticed. The air moved in and out, like the forest above was inhaling through the earth. Claire's flashlight flickered. Its beam revealed twisted roots, slick with moisture. The walls pulsed faintly, as if blood ran beneath them. "We need to go up," Claire whispered. Her voice trembled, but when she looked behind us, the tunnel had sealed shut. No way back, only forward. The heartbeat echoed louder now, vibrating through the floor beneath our boots. It wasn't just sound. I could feel in my chest. One steady pulse. Boom, boom, boom. The deeper we went, the warmer it got. Steam rose from cracks in the ground. A faint light glowed ahead, red like embers through fog. Claire grabbed my arm. "Do you see that?" I nodded. "Whatever it is, that's where this ends." We reached a cavern. Massive. Roots hung from the ceiling like veins. Pools of golden liquid shimmered between stones. In the center, something enormous, half buried in the soil. It pulsed with light. Alive. A heart. Not human. Not animal. Something older, deeper. Claire covered her mouth. Oh my God. The air thrummed like a storm trapped underground. The heartbeat filled everything. On the walls, symbols glowed. The same ones we'd seen carved into the trees. Now I understood. They weren't markings. They were veins. Each one pulsed with the same rhythm. The forest's blood. The gold wasn't treasure. It was life. Then the whisper came again. Soft. Gentle. Everywhere. "Stay." Claire shook her head violently. "No, you can't have us." The ground quaked beneath her voice. The heart pulsed faster. Roots snaked down from the ceiling. They twisted toward her, reaching like fingers through. "Smoke!" She screamed as they wrapped around her legs. I grabbed her arms, pulling. The roots tightened, cutting into her skin. Golden sap leaked from the wounds, glowing faintly. She was being absorbed. "Let me go," she cried. I held tighter. "Claire, fight it." but the forest was stronger. The air filled with the smell of pine and blood. The heartbeat became thunder. My vision blurred. The light grew blinding. And then silence. The roots loosened. Claire collapsed into my arms, trembling. She was breathing, but barely. Her eyes flicked open. She smiled weakly. I saw it. She whispered. I saw them. Who? I asked. The ones before us. They're all here. She pointed toward the heart. Shapes moved within the glowing surface. Faces distorted, trapped in the pulse. Jason, Hannah, Miguel. Their eyes opened inside the light. Not human anymore. Gold, liquid, eternal. The forest had claimed them. Claire began to cry. Her tears shimmered faintly. I can feel it pulling me, she said. I can't stop it. I shook my head. No, we're getting out. But the tunnel behind us was gone again, swallowed by the heartbeat. The whisper returned. Louder. Stay. The word carried weight this time. Like a command. The ground split open beneath the heart. Light spilled out, flooding the cavern. It wasn't warm anymore. It burned. Claire screamed again. Golden cracks spread across her skin. She looked at me, desperate, terrified. Don't let me go, she said. I didn't, but the light tore her away anyway. Her body disintegrated, not into ash, but into gold dust that floated upward. The dust drifted toward the heart. It absorbed her gently, like water swallowing a reflection. The heartbeat steadied again, and then I was alone. The whisper softened. Now you see, it said. This place remembers everything. I fell to my knees. The golden light painted my hands. I could feel it seeping into me. Warm, electric, endless. For a moment, I wanted to give in, to stop fighting, to become part of it like the others. Peace it promised. But then I heard her voice. Faint, real, human. Run. Claire's voice, from somewhere within the light. I looked up. For a second, I saw her face, smiling. And then behind her, the forest opened its eyes. 1,000 eyes, all around me, watching, waiting. The entire cavern was the creature. The forest wasn't feeding. It was dreaming, and every life it took became part of that dream. I stood, trembling. The light surged again, brighter this time. The ground shook so hard I almost fell. Run! Claire's voice echoed again. I did. I ran through the glowing roots, through tunnels that hadn't existed before. The forest screamed behind me. The whisper turned into a roar. The heartbeat became chaos. Every root, every branch tried to grab me. I kept running. I didn't know where I was going. I just followed the cold air, the smell of rain, the promise of sky. At last, light, real light, broke through. I stumbled out of the ground, fell onto grass. The sun blinded me. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Then I did, and the air was clean. The forest was still behind me. Quiet, still, almost peaceful, as if nothing had happened. I turned back once. The trees swayed gently, and for a moment, I thought I saw her, Claire, watching from the edge, smiling, then gone. The whisper faded into the wind. Go. And I did. Part 5, the last dawn. The sun rose like it hadn't in years. The light was soft, gold, almost too pure to be real. I stood there, breathing in air that didn't taste like fear. For the first time, since it began, silence felt kind. My clothes were torn. My hands still shimmered faintly with dust. Not dirt, not blood gold. The forest mark. I wiped it away, but it came back under the light, faint, like veins made of sunlight. I told myself it didn't matter. I was alive. Claire was gone, but her voice still echoed in my mind. Run, she'd said. So I did. The road appeared hours later, old asphalt cracked by roots and rain. I followed it until I saw the car. Our car, half covered in leaves. The keys were still inside. When I turned the ignition, the engine started on the first try. It sounded wrong, too smooth, too alive. I didn't care. I just drove. Trees thinned, air brightened. The forest fell behind me, small and harmless. By dusk, I reached the nearest town. Civilization felt like a dream. Streetlights, people laughing. I checked into a motel. The receptionist smiled politely. Rough trip? She asked. Yeah, I said. Something like that. That night, I took the longest shower of my life. The water turned brown, then red, then gold. I didn't notice until the drain shimmered. I stared at my reflection. My eyes, for a moment, glowed faintly, like Jason's had. Then it was gone. Sleep didn't come easy. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the heart again, beating, waiting. When I finally drifted off, I dreamed of sunlight through trees, birds, laughter, and then her voice. Do you remember us? I woke up gasping. The room was quiet. I tried to tell someone, the police, the rangers, anyone. But how do you explain? Something that doesn't belong to this world? They searched the forest. They found nothing. No tents, no ashes, not even a clearing. Just endless pine and silence. Maybe you imagined it, they said. Maybe I had, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the forest had simply moved. That it was still there, watching, waiting, hidden behind the next fog. Weeks passed. I returned home. People asked about the trip. I said it was fine. I didn't tell them about the map or the warning written on it. Don't stay after sundown. Because I did. Sometimes I still hear it. That whisper in the wind, in my dreams. I tried burning the map. It wouldn't catch. The ink glowed faintly instead. I buried it behind my house. 2 days later, it was back on my desk. Clean, folded, waiting, like the forest never forgot me. One morning, I woke to birdsong. Beautiful, clear, familiar. For a moment, I smiled, until I realized I was humming along, a tune I'd never known before. I froze. My voice carried an echo, soft, layered, as if someone else was humming with me. Claire. I whispered her name. The room went cold. The window fogged over. And there, faintly drawn by, invisible hands. A symbol, the same one carved into the trees. A spiral of roots. A circle that never ends. I wiped it away, but the glass stayed cold beneath my touch. That night I dreamed. Again, the forest was quiet, peaceful, and I stood at its edge. Claire was there, smiling. She said nothing, just held out her hand. Behind her, the forest glowed faintly gold. It didn't feel evil anymore. It felt awake, alive but calm. I took a step forward, then another, and when I reached her, she whispered, "It's over now." The light enveloped us both. Warm, endless, gentle. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my bed. Sunlight filled the room. The air smelled of pine. Outside, a small sapling had grown overnight, its leaves shimmering faintly gold. I didn't touch it. I just watched, because deep down, I knew what it meant. The forest wasn't gone. It never would be. But maybe it wasn't angry anymore. Maybe it was just waiting to be remembered. And sometimes, when the wind moves just right, I swear I can still hear Claire's voice. Soft, distant, peaceful. Don't stay after sundown. This time, I smile when I hear it. Because I won't. Not ever again.